You'd been ordered to carry out a security patrol by the captain, and with you being up to speed with what was going on in the hangar, admin fire control is your next stop. As you step into the small room, you're surprised as Dylan turns around immediately. Hey, Lieutenant! Did they send you to check up on me? Just a standard security patrol, D's. How's it all going? The normally placid warrant officer rolls his eyes, theatrically slumping back in his chair and gesturing to the monitors all around him with visible frustration. Oh, you know, great. Been ordered to remain on high alert, but the issue with the long-range targeting system is even worse than before, so I can't actually do anything unless we've got a target in visual range. Which means I've got to keep looking at every one of these screens all the time and nothing else. So, you know, living the dream. What's wrong with the long-range system? As if I know, same thing as before, just worse. Until the enemy got the drop on us, we didn't know they were there until they were right on top of us. Otherwise, I might have been able to get some shots in from the main guns. Would have been able to do something against that machine at least. Like the point defense cannons were in use. I swear, I almost got it so many times, it moved faster than the cannons could. Even when I tried to lead the target, it was too erratic to figure out where it'd be. Ugh. With a groan, Dylan slides further into his chair and kicks off the floor, setting the chair spinning in a slow circle. As he rotates, he glances over all the monitors before turning back to you. But yeah, anyway. Long-range targeting system is almost completely useless right now. It's been fuzzy since this morning, but it got way worse when the thing showed up. I've tried to ask the chief to take a look at it, but she's still busy with the engines and everything else going on, so like... He looks over the top of his glasses at you and shrugs. It's worth noting, we found this in the hangar of the other ship, didn't we? And it's in the hangar of our ship now. Could this be just a battle tactic? Like a false surrender? To then attack from within? It is what it is, you know? Dylan makes another rotation, this time gently brushing his hand over the targeting system controls, shifting their focus slightly as he rotates past them. So what's up with you, Lieutenant? Got pretty gnarly out there, huh? You alright? You take a moment to rub your neck. You noticed it was beginning to stiffen, and the pain was creeping in around the edges. Hope whatever the doctor had given you would hold out for a few more hours. Yeah, not too bad, Deez. Thanks for asking. That's good, yeah? I can see Hansen's Juno through the cameras. What some pretty sick maneuvers. Has been really hanging on in there. You think back to how you'd been thrown around the cockpit by some of Hansen's stunts. The experience of clinging on to the temporary passenger seat wasn't one you wanted to relive anytime soon. You're not wrong. Things got pretty wild out there. I'm just glad we made it back in one piece. Yeah, so I can do more to help you out with the Gun-Dog's weapons, you know? Just everything was way too slow. You smile and wave your hand subtly to dismiss Dylan's concern. Don't worry about it, Deez. We couldn't do much against it either. I don't think there's anything on board that could have taken that thing out. Yeah, you might be right, huh? The silence hangs between the two of you, and you're about to make your excuse to leave before Dylan leans forward in his seat, looking you dead in the eyes and speaks in a hushed tone. So, like, what is that thing, Lieutenant? What happened on the O'Brien? Is it Martian? Terran? What's the deal? Have we got a pilot? Have we got to the pilot yet? You place your hands on your hips before shifting your weight onto one foot and crossing your arms instead. Whilst exhaling deeply, you break the eye contact and look around the room at the monitors, finally looking back to Dylan, who sits there staring at you expectantly. Honestly, Deez, I've got no idea. All I know is that it blew the O'Brien to pieces, and then came for the Gun-Dog, and nothing we've got seems to have been able to scratch it. Dylan lets out a loud sigh, making his frustration obvious. Great, okay. Well, thanks anyway, sir. Gotta get back to these monitors in case another one comes looking for its friends. Sure, I'll check in on you later, Deez. With that, Dylan turns back to the walls of the monitor, and you watch him begin to idly prod the controls, adjusting and shifting views on some screens and altering the focus on others. Okay, let's check on Cassie. Well, really less so checking on Cassie, but in more so providing her proof of life for me. Even before the elevator's door is open, your hand is raised to preempt the harsh brightness of the sickbay's lighting. The powerful aroma of disinfectant wafts into the elevator as the doors slide open and the light shines brightly through the widening gap. Accustomed to both these features on the sickbay, you're no longer bothered by them. As always, everything appears in order, although you quickly notice that the doctor isn't at his desk. Looking over to the left of the room, you see a light illuminated above the doorway leading to the surgery wing, with its large gallery window having taken on frosted effect, obscuring the view of the inside beyond some vague shapes. The doctor had been able to patch you up pretty quickly, leaving Hansen to wait for the necessary procedure that now seemed to be underway. Looking back to the bed, you see Cassie tossing and turning uncomfortably. She had been fast asleep when you and Hansen were brought in, to the point where you wondered if she had been sedated. But now, she was fidgeting and groaning, appearing in genuine discomfort. Cassie? Cassie, is everything alright? You lay your hand on her shoulder and take her hand in yours. Hey Cassie, can you hear me? What's wrong? Oh, it's you, Chase. How was the mission? Did everything... As she lets out a scream, Cassie yanks her hand away from yours, bringing it up to her head and using it alongside her free hand as if trying to hold her head together. Completely overtaken by the pain, Cassie thrashes around on the bed. It's all you can do to stop her from throwing herself off it. Hey, Cassie, it's alright. It's gonna be okay. You look around in a panic, unsure of what to do. Your first instinct is to get Dr. Rosario, but he's in the middle of a surgical procedure. You don't think he'd be able to drop everything just to come to Cassie. Cassie, did the doctor leave you anything? Any instructions? Any tablets? Cassie, come on, anything? Pills on the counter. Without a moment's hesitation, you dash over to the countertop, where you can see a half-spent blister of tablets atop a box of more of the same. You grab a nearby small glass filled with water from the hand-washing station, and then take it and the tablets over to Cassie. Hey, Cassie, wake up and take these, come on. You slide your arm under Cassie's back and gently bring her to an upright position, keeping your arm in place to prop her up. Oh, hey, honey, These are the tablets you mentioned, right? Cassandra, still in a daze, blinks at the glass of water and pills you hold up to her, slowly reaching out to take the glass and then some tablets. Yeah, the doctor said they'd help with the headaches. Dreamily, she places two in her mouth, and then you help her with the glass of water. She drains it, and after you take it off her, you lower her back down onto the bed. Thanks, sweetie. You remain standing over Cassandra for a few minutes, but it looks like she's fallen into the same heavy slumber that she was in when you were brought down here earlier. You squeeze her hand before turning to leave, but before you can step away, you feel a gentle grip on your wrist. Hey, come back in a bit. I want to hear about your day. Before she can finish the sentence, Cassie slumps back onto the bed, releasing you. Sure thing, Cassie. Okay. So, I think as well, it's not part of our normal patrol, but we should head over to quarter one. Or basically, I'm looking for Haru. Not here. Well, Haru tends to hang out in the mess hall a fair bit. Before you even head into the mess hall, the aroma of machine-made coffee and pancakes wafts down the four-side thoroughfare, and your stomach growls audibly. Because, like, Haru and me and Cruz are all, because we're sort of the military wing of this, well, I guess we're all in the military, but we're like the actual combatants on the ship, so, like, we're all kind of, the three of us are kind of the point team on making sure that we aren't going to get, like, boarded and killed by this alien that is now in our hangar. So, we gotta make sure we're all on the same page with regards to that project. You hadn't realized how hungry you were until now, but with the scent of rich food in the air, your body begins to let you know in no uncertain terms that you are ravenous. As you step inside, Ensign Rumney, leaning back lazily in their chair, slowly picking their way through a stack of syrup-covered pancakes, fork in one hand, cup of coffee in the other. They acknowledge you by looking over to the doorway and raising their cup of coffee slightly before turning to their meal. Before you can say anything, your stomach growls loudly again. A smirk appears on the pilot's face briefly, but is quickly dismissed as they go to take another mouthful of pancake. As they carry on eating, you decide to leave them to it for the time being and head into the room to take a look at the available options. Alright, let's have a little bit of vending machine. Approaching the machine, you look over the list of menu options. You'd been surprised when you first got on board that the choice was just as extensive as the machines on much larger ships you'd been stationed on. The problem with this was that all the choice made it difficult to decide on what you wanted to eat. You spent a minute or two going back and forth over the various menu options before narrowing it down to a hamburger, tacos, or pancakes. Let's go for pancakes. Get some just some pure sugary carbs in you after all that hard work. You select the option that will give you an identical stack of pancakes to the one Haru's eating, and the machine begins to make a series of loud mechanical noises. After a few moments, the hatch opens and a plate with a steaming stack of pancakes covered in syrup slides out. You take the plate from the machine and head to the table to sit down. You assume that Haru's silence means they're not interested in conversation and decide to respect that by not saying anything. As you begin cutting into the first pancake, you notice Haru look across to you after taking a slow, leisurely sip of coffee. Hey, Lieutenant. You've just taken your first mouthful as the ensign points their fork at you. Solid choice. You nod and they do the same before turning to their own half-eaten snack. Due to your hunger, you consume the pancakes voraciously, with it only taking you a few minutes to consume the entire stack. You notice that although you'd managed to wolf down the whole plateful, Haru had barely made any progress on their remaining half of the stack. Feeling a little bit self-aware of your gluttony, you stand up quickly and return the plate to the meal vendor. As the plate is taken back into the machines, you exhale deeply. A feeling of contentedness and satisfaction spreads through you, taking the edge off your exhaustion. Do you want to say anything, Haru? Although Haru is keeping to themselves right now, you felt that with things the way they were on board the ship, it'd be good to check in with everyone. You pull up a seat next to the pilot, who gives you a flicker of recognition before continuing to slowly pick at their pancakes. Ensign Rumney, how you doing? Probably better than you after that landing craft. Didn't think I'd be seeing you out of the sickbay so soon. Yeah, well, I was lucky that. So is Hansen out too? Oh no, he's still being seen by the doctor. When I left, he was taking him into the surgery wing. Something got artificial ossification. Damn, how'd he manage to go and break something that seriously whilst you're up and about without a scratch? Well, next time you see him, make sure you give him the thanks he deserves for getting you out of that situation alive. If it wasn't for his padding, this whole ship would be space dust right now. You roll your eyes and cross your arms. You know they're not wrong, but the thought of actively thanking Hansen for something, I mean, he deserves it, let's be honest. He was kind of an MVP there. Yeah, I'll let him know. Haru returns our attention to the pancakes, continuing the meal, only interrupting it with the occasional sip of coffee. You sit there for a little bit longer, but as the silence drags on, you decide you've probably got as much conversation out of Haru as you're going to, so you put your chair back and stand up. As you go to walk away, you hear the sound of Haru's chair as it scoots along the floor, causing you to turn back. I'm serious, Lieutenant. Make sure you tell him. You look at Haru for a moment, and then mentally shrug as you turn away again. I heard you the first time, Ensign. Don't worry. Gonna get to some vending? Look at the vending machine and consider the available snacks. The thought of a chocolate bar seems appealing, and you take your ID card out of your pocket, slide it into the machine's card slot, and key in your selection. One of the coils spins slowly, and your bar is eventually ejected, landing at the bottom of the machine near the access hatch. Oh, a sound voice. Nice. Nice, I'll save this for later. Who knows? That could be the key to getting, like, the good ending. Alright, we should head on to engineering now. Figure out what exactly is going on over there. Are we sure we shouldn't be packing some more serious heats? Like, we now potentially have a hostile on board the ship. Like, you tug on the locker's handle, but there's no give, indicating that the lock is engaged. It doesn't look like the issues we've been having have affected the armory's security systems. Not that I'd be too worried, even if it had. You need the captain's authority to access the armory anyway. I'm the only person on the ship allowed in here. Okay. To engineering. You pass through the stillness of the aft thoroughfare and head into the thrumming depths of the engineering department. As you make your way through, you look around for any sign of the chief, starting with the catwalks and workstations above you, then the machinery that fills the level you're on, and finally finishing your search by scanning the levels below you. Hey, Chief! Chief, you in here? Chief! Taking a deep breath, you cup your hands around your mouth and shout, Chief! You wait for a moment, but with no response forthcoming, you decide that you can be sure the chief isn't in engineering. Despite the level of noise coming from all the various systems, it wasn't like engineering was all that loud. Instead of carrying on your search for Chief Cathays, you turn your attention to the engineering department in general, quickly going through your mental list of checks that make up your patrol's report. As far as you can tell, everything seems in order, leaving you without much to dwell on. Let's head over to the engines, because we should talk to the chief regardless. At least let her know about the issue with the targeting system. The doors to the engine room slide open in front of you, and you're met with the disheartening sight of the huge engine remaining totally stationary, devoid of its normal rotation. The sense of stillness that permeates the vast area you're stood in is disconcerting. The only thing breaking that all the engulfing silence is a constant grumble, coming from the lone figure of the chief leaning over a control panel in the distance. Chief, everything alright? You call out as you approach her. No, damn it, Lieutenant, it's not! You're a little taken aback by both the chief's curt response, but also that you didn't need to pester her in order to drag her attention away from what she's doing. Oh, no? No! If I didn't know better, I'd call it sabotage, but no one else on the ship has the know-how to do that kind of thing. So right now, I look like an idiot who can't get the NPEs back online. Whoa, Chief. Hold on, sabotage? It's not sabotage, Lieutenants. Like I said, no one on this ship would know how to do this kind of thing. I've rolled out hardware issues, and I've never seen the software do a full reset on the startup process before, so unless it's something I'm missing, like an idiot, then... Chief, what's going on? I got through the entire startup process and was about to fire up the NPEs when that machine crashed into the hangar and I had to go and secure it. The status of everything should have held at that point until I got back, and it would have been straightforward to just enter a few commands and restart the engines, but... The chief lashes out with her boot, striking the bottom of the casing of the control panel she'd been working on. The whole process had been reset and all of my calibrations and checks have been wiped. I had to start from the very beginning. Without the NPEs online, I can't even get the ship moving, let alone get the HFDD started. Until I can get the HFDD up and running, I'm stuck here instead of being in the hangar figuring out what's going on with that machine. It's killing me. And every second I waste screwing around with the engines is another second we're adrift out in the boonies of God knows what in our hangar. Ugh. The chief strikes the base of the control panel again before leaning over it and beginning to key in commands. Even the preset functions I've installed have been wiped out. It's basically at shipyard status. This is ridiculous. First, I'm going to have to... Is there anything I can do to help? No. Oh. Nothing personal, Lieutenant, but no, there's absolutely nothing you could do to help me in this case. Well, thanks for offering. No problem, I guess. Before you're even done responding, the chief has turned her attention back to the screen full of diagnostics and settings, and has begun keying in commands, pausing to take notes of some nearby readouts, and then inputting more information. You make a mental note to fill the captain in on the status of the engine startup process, and decide to leave the chief to it since there's apparently nothing else for you here. I should let the chief know about the targeting system, though. Hey, Chief. About the machine in the hangar. What about it? What do you reckon it is? Where do you think it came from? Mars? Earth? That's a damn good question, Craft. Got absolutely no idea. I've never seen armor, weapons, or a propulsion system like that. I've read speculative proposals about that kind of tech, but we're decades away from even the fundamentals of it. We might be in peacetime, but all the big governments are doing everything they can to develop their weapon systems, ensure they're not caught out again. If anyone had anything like this, even in the testing stages a few years ago, the war would have been over a lot quicker one way or another. Even if this was Martian or Terran, it doesn't make any sense to test it in the JCF's backyard. If it's ours, then why would they send us in without letting us know? So there's nothing? No indication where it came from or what it's for? I can tell you what it is, Lieutenant, that's for sure. That machine is nothing but a weapon. Beyond that, you might be able to figure out some answers to these questions. If I wasn't stuck here restarting the engines from scratch. Which you're distracting me from, Lieutenant, so get out of here. Yes, Chief. Okay. Well, I've taken a look at everywhere I need to. Guess it's time to report to the captain. Unless there's something I'm forgetting to check out. I'm gonna carry on with my patrol. If I do something I missed, it's not like I'm on a schedule or anything, so I'll check a few more things out. The first thing we ought to do, we wanted to go back to Cassie. Wait a minute, that wasn't this way the last time I passed through here. Huh? What are we talking about? I'll go to the sick bay. Cassie? I'm sure there's something I could do for you. Even if I can't be here when you wake up, just something to let you know it's okay. Ooh, like chocolate? Reaching into your jacket pocket, you pull out the chocolate bar you had bought from the vending machine during your earlier visit to the mess hall. You furtively look back to the frosted glass of the surgery wing, and assuming that the doctor is still occupied with whatever procedure he's carrying out on Hansen, covertly slide it under Cassie's pillow. It's not much, but it's the least you can do to keep her spirits up. Don't let Dr. Rosario catch you with that, okay? If you knew how much junk you'd been eating from the vending machine, he'd probably get the captain to block your access. With a soft smile on your face, you gently move a few errant strands of hair from her face before squeezing her hand again and moving away. Okay, maybe Dalton didn't replace this correctly? It must have shaken loose during the battle. But it was definitely attached the last time I was here. Oh no. Guys, I do have my weapon, right? We need to investigate this. This definitely wasn't like this when I came through here earlier. You head over to the entrance to the maintenance crawlway, and holding on to the sides, lean into the space, first looking up and then downwards. The ladder extends into the gloom in both directions, and although you can only see up to a certain distance, you can't see anything unusual, and you don't hear anything either. With a shrug, you move to pick up the panel, placing it back onto the wall. It takes a little bit of trial and error, but eventually you get the panel attached again. You give it a few knocks for good measure. That should do for now. If that was out of place, because I'm thinking. Okay, well let's go to the four-side thoroughfare. Show me the hangar. Check this again. You vault over the railings and kick off gently towards the strange machine, taking in every visible detail as you slowly float over it. Grabbing onto a protrusion from the mass of foam, you redirect yourself, continuing to inspect the machine from a different perspective. You calmly and methodically repeat the process a few times more before returning to the catwalk near the hangar entrance. Like the chief said, no sign of any sort of hatch or cockpit. This thing may be powerful, but there's no way a pilot would be able to break through all of this. Unless it's got like a teleporter or something. Take me to the crew quarters. Let me check my quarters just to be sure no one's hiding out in there or anything. There's no point in getting changed in fresh uniform right now. Maybe just a few seconds of sitting down. No, don't fall asleep. No, come on, I've got a patrol to finish. Okay. What else? Quarters 2. I finished checking out everywhere the captain wanted me to. Since I'm here, I should report to the captain. Not yet. Because if there's a possibility that thing went up to the bridge. Or, like, here's my logic. The panel was misplaced. Someone utilized the panel. No member of the crew has an incentive to do so because they just take the elevator. So that means the intruder likely moved the panel. Which means the intruder either went to the sickbay or the bridge. Go to the bridge. You step off the elevator and enter the bridge, the sound of a shrill beeping coming from a control panel. Stood over the panel, typing hurriedly on the keyboard, is Vanessa. She looks over to you at the start before turning back to the keyboard and quickly entering more commands. After a few seconds of typing, she aggressively hits the enter key, which silences the beeping, and turns quickly to you, looking slightly flushed. What do you want, Lieutenant Craft? At this point, you no longer have the energy to mask your exasperation, and let out a sigh as you pinch the bridge of your nose between your thumb and forefinger. I'm just carrying out a standard patrol, Lieutenant Lord, making sure everything is in order following the battle. Is everything okay up here? You leaned slightly to try to see what was being displayed on the screen above the panel Vanessa had been using, but was now stood in front of. Stepping sideways to block your view, Vanessa reaches back to the keyboard without turning around and enters a quick series of button presses that shift the display to something else. Of course you're on patrol. I suspected you wouldn't be here to give your post-mission reports like you're supposed to. It'd be too much to expect the Gun-Dog's hero, the dashing Lieutenant Craft, to actually follow protocol for once. But then again, with how I had to remind you of procedure when the power went out, I suppose you might not be willfully ignorant of how you're supposed to act. It could be that you're just plain ignorant instead. You feel a familiar rising tide of anger within you, a feeling that for most of your career had been limited to encounters with Hansen, but now becoming much more common with every conversation you had with Vanessa. You do know you're supposed to report to the mission overseer immediately after you're dismissed from the sickbay for debriefing, right? Any remaining desire you had to check in on the bridge and Lieutenant Lord was swiftly leaving you. Yes, Lieutenant, thank you. I'm aware of the procedure, but I'm under direct orders from the captain to begin a constant patrol. Besides, I would assume someone as capable as yourself would have been able to get the general picture of what had happened on the O'Brien without me needing to tell you. Or was the battle outside the ship and the giant machine currently in our hangar not obvious enough? If Vanessa had picked up on the barb in your query, she wasn't acknowledging it. Captain's orders, huh? For all those are worth. Although you'd initially assumed Vanessa's general aggression was just a personality deficiency, and her increasingly open hostility to the ship's command structure was beginning to stand out to you as something more than just unmanaged anger issues. You make a mental note to bring it up with the captain at the next opportunity. Lucky for you, Lieutenant, I'm more than capable enough to pick up your slack, and I've already gone through the communications log, the Juno's flight data. I'm also in the process of reviewing the O'Brien's black box information. I've got to say, your decision to take the Juno and get out of there on your own was certainly a surprise. You're taken aback that Vanessa had delved that deeply into the recorded communications from the mission already. That was... I know you could be so pragmatic. Whereas that your heroism only comes out when a certain someone is involved, Look, Lord. And another thing. I've got to hand it to you, your quick thinking skills when it came to commanding Ensign crews during that battle.
Without your decision to get Cadet Grange involved, things might have turned out very differently for the Gun-Dog. Still, it's a lot easier to just sit back and tell people what to do than to actually do it yourself, right? A lot less pressure on you.
I'm not quite sure that's true. Because now you're responsible for, the people under your command. You're about to snap back at Vanessa, but your exhaustion wins out against your anger and you swallow your words.
Well, Lord, I'm glad you put your talents to good use and managed to get the assessment done without me.
I've got orders to carry out, so if you don't mind, I'll be leaving.
Oh, not at all, Lieutenant. I wouldn't want to keep you from your important work. Keep up, I'm sure your commitment to your duty will be rewarded very soon.
Unwilling to put up with Vanessa's consistent contempt for much longer, you mumble a vague goodbye and turn back towards the elevators. Let me check sickbay one more time before delivering my reports. Can I... Can't make out much of what's going on in there. Probably for the best. I'd like to take a look at this. Looking to cast, you take the box of pills still in one hand and the empty glass in the other and head over to the hand washing station where you fill the glass with water. Returning to the slumbering Cassie, you pop 2 tablets out of the blister and lay them on the glass on a small bedside shelf next to her. Lay them and the glass, not on the glass. Pausing for a moment, you watch her sleep in complete peace. A sharp contrast to how she'd been before. You know you've got a patrol to be getting on with, but the thought of leaving her alone like this anchors you to her bedside. You wish you could be here when she wakes up, or at least leave her something nice to wake up to. It's easy for you to imagine how miserable it must be to wake up in the harsh lights of a stinging sense of the disinfectant. You gently move a few errant strands of hair from her face before squeezing her hand again and moving away. Okay, well... Alright, it's time to deliver the reports. I finished checking out everywhere the captain wanted me to. Since I'm here, should I report to the captain? Yes. Well, I've not found anything that really needs reporting, but there's nothing else I need to do right now, so I should let the captain know I've finished my patrol. After briskly making your way to the captain's quarters, you find yourself stood outside her familiar insignia-marked door. You're about to knock to announce yourself, but before you can, you instead move your hand to cover your mouth as you let out a loud yawn. You stop midway through your exhalation, interrupted by a twinge of pain in your neck as you raised your arm. You roll your neck a few times, but this does nothing to shift the discomfort that you're now feeling. It seems like the painkiller the doctor had given you was beginning to wear off. You sigh, which quickly turns into the previously interrupted yawn. The tiredness, which you'd been doing your best to ignore since you'd returned to the Gun-Dog, was now hitting you hard, and you were suddenly very aware of the physical and emotional toll the past few hours had taken on you. As you feel exhaustion spread through your body, you hope that after you make your report, the captain would command Haru to take over the security detail, whilst you got some rest. Being mindful not to aggravate the pain in your neck further, you slowly raise your hand and tentatively knock on the captain's door. Enter. You hear the captain announce from the other side. Lieutenant Craft. Have you finished your patrol? You shut your eyes briefly and draw in a deep breath, mustering the energy to engage with the captain. Yes, ma'am. And? You release the breath slowly. Conversation with the captain could be exhausting due to how little effort you seem to put into them. And right now, you felt the very real need to conserve your energy. Having visited fire control, the bridge, and the engine room, aside from the existing issues with the long-range communication system, sensors, and NPEs, there's nothing new to report. With the exception of a few minor technical issues that appear to be the result of our battle with that craft, I can't find anything untoward or immediately suspicious. I mean, aside from the wall panel! Just please mention the wall panel. There's no sign of any intruder that I've been able to observe, aside from the wall panel! I see. So everything's in order. You clench your jaw to stifle a yawn. As you catch a glimpse of the captain's bed in the annex that serves as her bedroom, You find yourself desperately craving your standard issue bunk. On the patrol route, at least, yes.
Good to hear.
You do your best to stifle another yawn, willing the captain to dismiss you.
In that case, Lieutenant.
You act slightly, awaiting the order to finish for the day and pass the torch to someone else.
I want you to head to the sick bay and get an update on Ensign Crew's status.
You tense up again, the prospect of immediate rest now pulled out from under you. Ensign Cruz, ma'am?
Yes, Lieutenant. When I had previously spoken to Dr. Rosarium, he had advised that the procedure should have been finished some time ago, and Ensign Cruz should be ready to resume duties shortly after. I need to brief Ensign Cruz on his new responsibilities, but I'm yet to hear anything from the doctor. So, Lieutenant, I need you to head to the sick bay to find out what the delay is. Understood?
You allowed your weariness to creep over you, but it had been bearable because of the expectation that once you'd reported to the captain, your duties would be done. Now, though, with another task foisted upon you, it felt almost overwhelming. With a Herculean effort that you hide from the captain, you throw a swift salute to acknowledge your new task. Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Very good. Dismissed, Lieutenant.
You maintain your posture until you've left the captain's quarters, but as the door closes behind you, it's all you can do to not slump to the floor. This must be the last thing she has for me to do today. There's no way. You sigh deeply and pinch the bridge of your nose, taking a moment to wallow in your exhaustion until you feel ready to face this latest challenge. Alright, let's go.
Okay.
I am kind of concerned. Because if the intruder didn't go to the bridge, then the other place it could have gone would have been the sick bay. This is, of course, assuming there is an intruder. I could be just paranoid, I guess. You lean back against the rear wall of the elevator and shut your eyes, savoring the brief moment of relaxation that comes from resting on the cool metal of the wall and listening to the gentle hum of the elevator's movement. You stay this way, seconds away from drifting off to sleep, until you feel the elevator begin to slow. You wearily open your eyes and push off the wall, standing upright. You lazily bring your hand up to your eyes to shield them from the harsh glare you know will come from the sickbay's lighting. As your eyes adapt to the light, the first thing that catches your attention is a glitter-like shimmer from the floor at the far side of the room. Once your vision has adjusted completely, you realize that these sparkles are caused by the high-powered lights reflecting off fragments of broken glass that are scattered all over the floor. No, not again. Doctor! Slumped over his desk is Dr. Rosarium. As you approach him, the dread is replaced with nausea. You see his one organic eye remains open, staring straight downwards but devoid of life. Doctor! Damn it! You quickly draw your electroshock weapon as you look over to the bed with Cassie on it. Cassie! Seeing her lying still, you move swiftly over to check that she's alright, and feel a rush of relief as you see her chest rise and fall. A shiver runs up your spine as you hear the sound of someone stepping on broken glass behind you. You hold your breath, wait for a single second, then swing around, bring your gun to bear on where you heard the noise coming from. As you swing your arm around, it's immediately intercepted, stopping its arc before you can aim at where the noise behind you had come from. All you have time to process is a fist flying towards you, striking you square on the chin. What? There's nothing you can do but stagger backwards. Within a second, you're unconscious. Dang it. Who knows? Wake up, Lieutenant. I said, wake up, Lieutenant.
Asleep on the job? You and your girlfriend are too much alike.
Lord, what's...
Finally, I was beginning to think that you decided to copy our Lieutenant Commander and play Sleeping Beauty for the rest of the mission.
Cassie, is she? The same moment that you sit up quickly, a lance of pain strikes you in the base of your skull, and you wince, gritting your teeth and squeezing your eyes shut.
I wouldn't make any sudden movements if I were you. We found you knocked flat out on the floor of the sick bay. Looking at the way you fell, you must have taken a serious blow. A shame it's not like we've got a doctor to deal with that kind of thing anymore.
Moving more slowly this time, you bring yourself upright and maneuver so that you're sitting on the edge of your bunk. You keep your head bowed as you tentatively feel the back of where you'd hit the floor. Dr. Rosarium, he's
dead. You must not have got a good look at him, but someone pulled his plug. Kind of funny when...
Okay, Lieutenant Lord, that's enough. What about Commander Quinn? Is she...
What, you don't want to know more about the doctor? Aren't you already planning your investigation? Shouldn't be asking me if there's any information that might help you find the...
You turn to look Vanessa straight in the eyes. Your face a stern expression of disapproval. Just tell me how Commander Quinn is doing, Lord.
She's unscathed, Lieutenant. As always, she's somehow managed to come out of things absolutely fine. We've moved her to her quarters for the time being, to keep her secure.
Good, okay. You rest your elbows on your knees and place your head in your hands, massaging your temples in an attempt to reduce the pain that had traveled up your neck and into your forehead. What happened? I went into the sickbay and saw Dr. Rosarium at his desk. Went over to Commander Quinn and then... You remembered spinning around to aim your electroshock weapon at whoever had been behind you, but you hadn't managed to get a good look at them before they'd knocked you out. I got knocked out. What happened after that?
Well, luckily for you, Ensign Cruz was in the surgery wing waking up after his procedure. He saw the silhouette of your fight through the glass and hit an emergency alarm. Well, whoever it was managed to escape before Cruz could make his way out of the surgery wing, where anyone else could get there. That makes it twice that he saved your life this mission. Maybe we should be promoting him to head of security instead.
You roll your eyes at the thought, whilst cringing internally. Having Hansen to thank for your survival is becoming an uncomfortably common occurrence. So what's the current situation then? Do we know... As you go to stand up, the same pain from earlier returns and you sit back down, wincing and rubbing your neck.
Unfortunately, Lieutenant, no, we don't know anything. With our heads of security taking a nap and everyone on high alert at their stations, we've not managed to have the chance to investigate.
Investigate?
But don't worry, Lieutenant Craft, we've got Ensign Cruz and Rumney taking care of security operations until you recover. Both ships on lockdown at the moment. All clearance is restricted purely to necessary duty areas for each crew member, and access can only be granted from within the room if someone else wants to enter.
Okay.
So the captain's happy for you to take your time to recover.
If Captain Barnames doesn't want me back on duty immediately, why are you here?
Lieutenant, we're crewmates. Can I stop by to check on your recovery?
You shoot Vanessa a stern expression, raising your eyebrow but staying silent.
Oh, fine, Lieutenant. I wanted you to understand the full stakes of what's happening right now. We're stuck out here with no communication systems, our doctor is dead, our lieutenant commander is inconveniently out of action for the foreseeable future, we've got a hostile craft sat in our hangar, and with all this going on, our captain's guidance is to just lock things down and carry on? Considering the circumstances, you think she'd go with a bit more of a proactive approach, wouldn't you say?
Lord, what are you getting at?
Nothing, Lieutenant. Don't worry about it. For now. I just make sure you are up to speed on current events in case you need to make any decisions, that's all. Anyway, take these and get some sleep.
Your react with a start as Vanessa throws a small packet of painkillers to you. You catch it and turn it over in your hands. You notice the box is slightly crumpled and pull a small fragment of glass out from where it has been lodged in between the box's tabs.
We'll be needing you, Lieutenant. Soon.
You look up from the packet just as Vanessa turns to leave the room. Without saying anything else, she exits your room and steps into the corridor beyond, with the door hissing shut behind her soon after. Once Vanessa is gone, you take the opportunity to look over the packet again before placing it down next to you on your bunk. You make another attempt to stand up, although you're more cautious about it this time. Despite how gingerly you'd risen to your feet, the pain in your neck had still reappeared before you were even upright. With a sigh of defeat, you open the box Vanessa had given you, and extract 2 tablets from the packaging, quickly tossing them into your mouth and swallowing. You slowly lie back down on your bunk, resting your head on your pillow. As you lie there, you go over what Vanessa had told you. Dr. Rosarium was dead, but Cassandra was fine. Whoever had been responsible hadn't been apprehended, and the whole ship was on high alert. You begin to think over who the assailant could be. You couldn't think of motivation for a single crew member to attack the doctor. Although now that you think about it, the disarray in the sickbay was very similar to what you saw on the O'Brien. Was what happened there happening here? Plus, what was Vanessa talking about making decisions for? Your mind slows as the medication kicks in and your thoughts lazily drift from one subject to another. Although you do your best to keep thinking about the dramatic shifts in circumstances, you feel yourself beginning to slip out of consciousness and back into the exhausted slumber that Vanessa had interrupted. The last thing you remember before drifting off to sleep is that as soon as you were awake, you knew the first thing you'd be doing was visiting Cassandra.